You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always, is...
Oh, you want me to go first?
Oh my god. Yes.
Oh, you want to start over?
No.
Oh.
And you are...
Marshall Josh Schaefer.
Okay. And also...
Calamity Queen Bee.
Hey, no, you're taking on titles too.
It's a good trope. You should do it.
No, I'm good. Thanks, though. So today we are talking not about Westerns, but because we've already done a podcast on that. But we're going to talk about space Westerns. There's a lot of different topics or movies that we could talk about within this topic of like Star Trek and Star Wars and everything else that's kind of considered a space Western, even though most of those are space operas or space samurai flicks or whatever else you want to go with. Like, there's very few specific, like, sci-fi westerns that are actually sci-fi westerns, like Westworld and Firefly and Westworld.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. That one that I always forget exists because, wow, it's awful. So, so I figured today, since the topic was raised, let's actually discuss the 3 or 4 or whatever actual space westerns we can think of. And I think, the one that we start with, because it's the first one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Back to the Future 3.
That would be the number 4.
5.
No, that would be the 4th one.
Where were you during the discussion we were actually trying to...
I just remembered it.
I mean, it's not technically in space, but I think it fits the genre. So, yeah, Westworld, which is a movie I thoroughly enjoy.
Yes, quite.
Thank you for joining the discussion.
I actually didn't like the movie as much as I liked the TV show.
Well, I mean, that's fair. They're different.
It's decent movie.
They are very different beasts. Because, I mean, the show bases itself on the premise of the movie, but it goes in a very different direction with all of it.
It had to stretch it out a little bit more.
Well, not just stretch it out, but it also, like, the movie doesn't actually explore what is, like, the whole concept from the robot perspective. It's just, like, robot bad and go kill, because that's what's in its programming. But the TV show makes the robots key characters and their growth and evolution about whether they're just robots or actually have...
AI.
Souls or whatever, yeah.
It's more anime.
Huh?
It's very anime.
I mean, I guess. I don't watch enough anime to be able to speak to that. And honestly, there's probably a whole lot more space westerns if we look at the anime genre.
Yeah, probably. I can think of a couple.
Draws influence from, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, I like the movie. I think the first one is good. I think the second one, Future World, kind of
dropped.
A lot.
Yeah.
One weird appearance from Yul Brynner, and...
What appearance by Yul Brynner isn't weird, though?
I mean...
He was really good in The King and I.
Was he still the man in the black hat in The King and I? Was it like that the robot just dropped in there?
No, but that would have made The King and I amazing. Because it's only really an okay musical.
I might have watched it at that point.
Right?
The King and I, but everyone is replaced by robots from Westworld.
That would be amazing. Let's do that one.
Get either of the Brolins in there, because the younger or the older Brolin, because they were in Westworld. Just be like, what the hell is going on here?
But when we're saying, Cowboys in space, space westerns, we're really talking about the fantasy genre of putting the West into a future reality.
Yeah. It's because Cowboys and Aliens, I think, would count in it, even though it's technically a Western where space comes to the cowboys.
Right.
Not the other way around.
That's kind of how Westworld, the TV show, is too.
Well, but technically they transplant the West onto a different planet. Like, I think Westworld is technically a different world, at least in the first one. I think the second one kind of muddied that by pretending it was just a theme park.
In the movie, yes. In the TV show, it's actually just kind of like a Disney World for adults.
Yeah, no, the first movie, though, I think says that it's actually a different planet. The second movie, though, I think just ignores that fact and puts it back on Earth, which was silly.
Yeah.
Which is silly. Yeah, because I can swear there's like a bad topographical, because everything in the Westworld series is kind of bad, a bad topographical map in the first movie where they actually show like a planetary asteroid exterior.
I can't remember.
And then like little like pockets where they've actually put like domes or something where the various worlds like fit in or something like that. It's weird. So...
I'll take your word for it.
If I feel like I might be transposing that with the second episode of Futurama,
Maybe.
Where they go onto the moon and there's like this like dome.
Or maybe the Netflix show, what is it? Love, Sex, and Robots, I think. They did that.
That was
a good one too.
Yeah.
With there's a couple space western-y spots in there.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying with the genre of it. It's like the fantasy of cowboys transposed against some sort of space theme. Because then you have the full opposite side of it where you have Firefly.
Right.
Especially with
which is actually a space western.
All the western tropes stretch to space because that level of technology is easy to reproduce.
Yes.
All you need is guns and horses, and then you can build your own whatever, and the infrastructure can be whatever it is.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
but out of all of them, my favorite is Serenity. Out of all the space westerns that people have done,
the movie.
I mean, I love the entire Firefly storyline.
Yeah. Well, the setting and the consistency on the show is good. The movie is just a very tightly plotted single plot line, whereas the show has Joss Whedon's usual like gonna do a long season-wide arc, which just so happens to not finish because the show got canceled.
Right.
What?
Which was sad.
Yeah,
it doesn't track for anything Fox does.
I mean, they did give both Dollhouse and Terminator 2 seasons.
Don't talk about Terminator. It's still raw.
It's very raw. I just watched the new Terminator, and it still feels raw to me because, like, we'll get to this in a Terminator podcast at some point when you guys have actually seen the new movie. But, like, the fact that they throw out all the old continuity for the first two movies, which I accept, but I really like the Terminator TV show.
Me too.
Stupid Fox. It all started with Firefly, in my opinion. that was their first sin.
But back to space westerns.
I got background.
So in Westworld,
yes.
you're basically having people relive or live their lives out through. Basically, it's an adult Disney where you're allowed to go. You can sleep with the robots. You can interact with the robots.
I mean, it was a 1970s movie with a PG rating, I think. Yeah. So there's a whole lot. There's very little actual robot fucking, but they did it in the background because they talk about it.
Right, and then it goes all bad.
Yeah, it goes goes very Michael Crichton because it was a Michael Crichton production. And
did he direct it too? I know he wrote it.
I know he wrote it. He might have actually directed that.
The movie, yes. The TV show, absolutely not.
No. That's a Nolan production. Right. That the brother behind like Person of Interest and all those.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. He Crichton at least wrote. And I think you're right. I think he directed Westworld. He did
direct it. Yes. I'm smart.
Oh, burn. But yeah, no. It's very much on track with what Crichton does, which is let me introduce this concept and then show how humanity is fucked.
Right.
Well, that's basically every story of his.
Yes, he likes showing how humanity is fucked.
Like Jurassic Park is basically Westworld, the same exact story.
Just with dinosaurs instead of robots.
Yeah, except there's kids instead of only adults. Oh, people don't fuck the dinosaurs.
You don't know that.
We know about.
Which would have made for a very interesting third movie as opposed to what we got.
Newman, let's just say...
whole new meaning to Jurassic World.
Newman from Seinfeld was getting pretty frisky.
Hey, don't dino shame him.
I'm not. Just saying he got some little tarry on his face.
Yeah, no, that money shot at the end was pretty bad for him. But no, I mean, it's the same concept. So you have a theme park built around a single scientific idea. And then the scientific idea shows, hey, I'm going to go crazy and break free. And then carnage ensues. So
it's like Zoo Tycoon. Michael Crichton created Zoo Tycoon. That's exactly what he did.
I mean, it is. And if you've played Zoo Tycoon, you basically can just do the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what happens when I release all the cages.
Why is it in Zoo Tycoon that one person who's been pissing you off the entire game gets to live? Like, he's never the one they actually eat.
That happens in Roller Coaster Tycoon as well. Like, you'll have one guy who bitches and complains the whole time, I don't like it here, I want to go home. But then he spends like 20 years wandering your park. You're like, go the fuck away, you're ruining my ratings.
Exactly.
Why don't you go on this one roller coaster that explodes outside the park limits?
Yeah, and it's like you pick him up, and then you drop him by the entrance. He goes, I want to go home. Oh, look, the exit. I want to go get cotton candy. What the fuck, dude? Go away.
That kind of happens in Westworld.
I know, I feel that.
Right?
But, I really like the movie. The first one. It's goofy and it's very 70s, but Yul Brynner sells the crap out of his villain. But I think the TV show really expands the scope and is much more interesting and deep.
Yeah, it's more focused.
I wouldn't say it's more focused. It just has more story it wants to tell over the course of what it does, whereas Crichton really just want to be like, robots bad. Because that was all Crichton was in. Or like Japanese people bad, like Rising Sun. Or women bad. That was Disclosure, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Hope no one takes these quotes out of context.
I think everyone who's read a Michael Crichton or watched one of his movies will be like, no, yeah, that tracks. That's pretty much on point.
That's what he does, yeah.
Time travel, bad. That was Timeline.
And humanity's fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, because one guy goes back and gets the bubonic plague and then dies there. And you're like, well, that's sad for you.
Thanks for that plague.
Plague.
Tasty.
So what's your favorite out of any potential space western? What's your favorite?
Mine?
Yeah,
You
what's your
looking at
favorite,
me?
Josh?
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one.
Firefly.
Oh, I thought you were like, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. What'd I say?
She already
Whatever
established
you said, I really
earlier-
liked it.
She established earlier in this podcast, if you go and listen,
That Serenity is my
that
favorite.
Serenity is
yes.
her favorite.
That is true.
Because Back to the Future 3 is garbage, but I still love it.
I mean, if we're thinking about it, it has vampires and stuff in it, but also has horses and guns in a futuristic setting. Technically, I think Vampire Hunter D counts.
It's an anime.
It does. It's
does
very
count.
it's very wet, like especially the second one, which is even more westerny.
Yeah, you got Cowboy Bebop, which is kind of westerny.
Yeah, but I don't watch that one. I've watched like
Outlaw
4
Star?
anime.
There's Outlaw Star. Outlaw Star is an anime that's westerny. Trigun. That one's
Ruby has a
westerny.
little bit of westerny to it too. I don't know.
Just gonna try and list all the anime you know I haven't seen.
Cowboy. Cowboy Bebop. It's in the title.
Or on High School
Howdy
Host
Doody. What?
Howdy Doody.
Toy Story.
Toy Story is also a western. Prove me wrong. He brought it
Fight
up,
me.
so let's discuss the tropes of the modern day western, guys. What do he sacrifice himself?
So, Back to the Future 3 then.
Oh yeah.
I like that one. That one is goofy. But I like it better than I like Back to the Future 2 because at least gives us something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Back to the Future 2, honestly, to get a little political, is feeling real too real right now.
Because of Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Back to the Future 3,
What?
though.
You've seen the second one, you know? Yeah.
No,
They
I gotcha.
based Biff off of Donald Trump.
They
Did they
literally
really?
did.
Oh wow.
Literally
Okay.
did. And they're like, this is the worst case scenario for what could happen in the world. And then it happened.
Happened. Yeah.
And you're like, God damn it.
Robert Zemeckis.
How did you know, you far-seeing bastard?
Idiocracy. Have you seen that one? Yeah. Okay. That's the phrase you were living in right now.
I'd vote for President Camacho
Over President Trump. Yes.
over anyone.
Rondo, it's what plants crave. Still not a space western.
There's desert.
I know we got here from Back to the Future 2, but we were talking about Back to the Future 3.
I like it.
God. My co-host, everyone.
It's good. It's a little goofy at parts, like you said, but
It is.
Still not my favorite.
No, the first one's my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The
the
first Back
one's-
to the Future.
Yeah, the first one's the best of the whole set, only because they don't try and shoehorn in this whole plot line about Marty McFly suddenly being this like macho ego dude and can't like be called a coward by everyone, which is so not in the first movie.
Right. Exactly.
Because
Where
he
does
is a
that even
coward in
come
the
from?
first movie.
Yeah, because he's totally a coward and he's willing to run, and it's like suddenly, no, you are a chicken. He's like, oh, suddenly I have to care about this? When did that
They
happen?
don't like
Right.
me.
Is it just because they gave him Elizabeth Shue as his girlfriend, and suddenly he's like, I got to get tough?
I mean,
It was just a recasting,
Replace
guy.
his girlfriend.
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
first movie, man.
It was just a recasting, dude.
that's what happened when your mom tries to.
No, that's true. I mean, when your mom tries to fuck you in the past, it's gonna change your entire way of looking at things.
Wow. Literally and figuratively, folks.
Do we have anything further?
No, I think
I think you
we-
killed it.
We've definitely hung this one out to dry. It's noon and we've shot the
high noon.
Yeah, it's high noon. We're good.
Get 'em, boys. Wish I had some like coconut so I could make horse noises.
That's Monty Python.
I mean, out of all the westerns that we could, I actually kind of like 100 Ways to Die in the West from
Seth
MacFarlane. Yeah,
I like that movie.
one.
Even though it's not a space western.
It's not a space western. but I still like it.
Technically,
It's still not.
Doc Brown is in it, so it's an extension of Back to the Future 3.
You're
Which
right.
I still argue is not a space western, but okay.
He has crazy hair, which means he's a mad scientist, which means he's from space.
No. The entire Back to the Future movie takes place on terrestrial Earth.
Prove it.
We can go watch them then.
Okay.
We'll
report back later, guys. Found our next podcast, by the way.
What?
Is Back to the Future on Earth? Question mark?
It's like a 5-second podcast. Is Back to the Future on Earth? Answer. Yes.
And solved.
And then the end credits play, and we go. And thank you for listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always, was
Josh Schaefer.
That was Marshall Josh Schaefer.
Oh.
You don't even remember your name?
I got demoted.
Calamity Queen Bee.
and we will see you next time.